Okay, here we go.
Welcome to Come and See, your podcast for finding truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. With host and founder Richard Case and co-host and retreat leader Kathy Ricconi. Join us every weekday at this time to discuss news, spend time in the Word, and receive answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. And now your host, Richard Case.
Well, good morning, Kathy. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Doing well. How about you?
Good. Good to see you. You know, yesterday you talked about your trip. How did
Yeah.
it go? How did it go with Anna? How did that go?
Oh my goodness, we had such a good time. Anna came down with us, and she was able to spend when we went down to the game. She actually spent the day with her grandma, and they had not had just a one-on-one date together in a very long time. So that was really sweet. So that was just good time. But even beyond that, Dan and I having time, I think this is the first road trip. We've done vacations before, but the first road trip we've ever done when it was just Dan and Anna and I. And we had just some great fun conversation. And it was really, kind of one of those just surprise blessing gift kind of things from God, just the way that we were able to talk through and even just getting more clarification on college and things that are going on. And it was a sweet, sweet time together. So thanks
That's
for
wonderful.
asking. Yeah.
Yeah, we're headed to Dallas. Our son, moved down there with Lockheed, and
Mm-hmm.
the grandkids are down there, so we miss seeing them. But we're going down. They're moving into their house down there.
Oh, excellent.
So we're going to go down, and Linda particularly is one of those gifted people that can organize immediately, unpack, and get stuff into the cupboards and all that immediately.
Oh, good.
So they said, "Hey, can you come down and help?" And she said, "Yeah." And by the way, I'll bring Rich too. I can take boxes
Oh,
around. So
I bet you guys are going to be so excited just to see the grandkids
yeah,
again, though.
yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
fun. We get to see them and just to reconvene, and it'll be fun. We get to see him at least on Zoom every week or so, but we gotta
Right.
be
But
live.
it's not quite the same
No,
as being in person, right?
no,
That
yeah,
was one of the things we were reminded even on this trip, was just the sweetness of family.
yeah.
Just having that time together to connect and again to spend with Dan's mom when we were down there. I know Anna came back. She's like, I just loved having grandma to myself and getting one-on-one stories, because
Yeah.
in a big group, sometimes she doesn't get that. In this setting,
Yeah.
she got to just hear everything she wanted to hear. And it was a good time for all of us.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Well, we've been talking about God's will. Yesterday we discussed, the aspect of God's supernatural work as we're faithful to follow Him. It's really more about what He wants to do for us and bear witness with the supernatural things that He fulfills. And really, when we look at God's will, it's it's what it says. It's God's will. We always look at it as, well, what is your will for me? What do you want me to do? And He says, well, actually, I just need you to come with me and let me deliver to you what I have for you, because I'm the one that can resolve issues. I can free you from bondage. I can heal the brokenhearted. I can restore things. I can resolve things. And we're living in a wicked world with self-centered people. So we got problems everywhere, and things that are happening that need resolution.
Right.
And God says, "Let me do that, and I'll provide it. I'll deliver it. You walk with me, and I am going to give you instruction. So there'll be steps of obedience, and we have to understand that. But He said it's really about what I would like to deliver. And as we look at this, Jesus spoke to this very wonderfully in Luke chapter 14, and read verses 10 through 18. Luke 14.
Right. John 14.
Excuse me,
right?
I'm not Luke. Sorry, John.
That's okay. John
One of
14.
those gospels. John 14.
Excellent. Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father is in me, or else believe on account of the works themselves. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these will he do, because I'm going to the Father. Whatever you ask in my name, this I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask me anything in my name, I will do it. If you love me, you will keep my commandments, and I will ask the Father, and he will give you another helper to be with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans, I will come to you.
Yeah. Um, so this is this is really an amazing statement that he makes. But he's saying, and he's been telling them,
Mm-hmm.
I only do what the Father speaks. I only experience the Father's works. I go where He's at work. He does the works. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Understand and believe that you get to experience them because you're with me. Uh,
Right.
and he says, I've been telling you this, and you ought to be able to believe this. He says, even if you struggle with believing it, well, could you believe the actual works themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize that if you just saw it and experienced it, wouldn't you want to go deeper with that and understand something about it? And shouldn't that promote belief?
Right.
Okay. Um, Now it's easy for him to say that. In a sense, why? Well, because he was doing works every single day.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, John, at the end of this book, writes, if I recorded everything that Jesus did for our 3 years together, the books of the
Mm-hmm.
world couldn't contain them.
Wouldn't be able to hold it even, right?
So every single day, and there's so many of them,
Right.
that they had to, in a sense, let the Holy Spirit select which of those did you want us to write down and record as
Mm-hmm.
scripture, because, well, there's a bunch of them and we could write them all down, and, well,
Mm-hmm.
it'd take a while. So why could Jesus say that? Is, well, believe the works. Why? Well, you are experiencing the works. Why? Because you're with me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now for we believers in right now in the 2021, interesting enough, that isn't so easy
Mm.
because there aren't that many works being done. Why not? Well, because God's will isn't being done.
Mm.
Uh, and so people, when you say God is going to resolve your issues, He's going to give you the covenant, He's going to overcome that adversity, He's going to take this mess you've made.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, I guarantee that it's going to be restored. You're going to get healed. You're going to get freed up. It's absolute. And their response to me is, I doubt that.
Because that hasn't been their experience yet.
I don't. Wait a minute. I don't
Mm-hmm.
see many people in the church, including my leadership in the church,
Mm-hmm.
having that experience that I actually can observe.
Right.
It doesn't seem to happen much. So they have said, therefore, God doesn't do that work anymore. And by the
Yeah.
way, it can be taken to an extreme. It's called dispensationalism.
Mm-hmm.
And dispensationalism said that was only for the apostles and disciples and the beginning of the church age, and it doesn't apply to us today.
Right. And I think that's a common misconception, especially in the American church, because I
Yes.
do believe there are other parts of the world that are seeing things daily, moment by moment, in a much greater capacity than we are.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So what God is saying to us, and this is why we're so um, purposeful in come and see, finding truth in a world of chaos, is the come and see is literally observe, is start to experience these amazing works that when you see them, then it should cause you to believe. And what we know, and we've seen it with all of our retreats, we've seen it with all the people that attend our retreats, we see it with downstream with their families, with other situations. When they learn this, they start experiencing God's supernatural works.
Right.
And then because of that, people believe, well, if that's true for you, can that be true for me? And the answer is yes. And see, what we understand, what we've experienced is it's not a hokey thing. It's not a made up thing. It's not a strange, falling over and all kinds of stuff that people have taken it to an extreme, that you look at it and say, well, that doesn't seem to reflect what I read in the Gospels. And I agree. I said, I agree. But what do you read in the Gospels? Supernatural
It was
stuff.
a normal way of life to walk in the supernatural,
all
right?
the time. And that as we have the beauty of the freedom and the joy of walking with him, he said the works will come. And when you see it, and this is why we're again so purposeful, is we're trying to experience ourselves and then promote more marketers for God. And not, you don't need to even say, I got to go out and tell everybody about it. It's, well, just share what's true for you.
Right. That's that bearing witness. What have you experienced yourself, and share that.
Yeah. And so like when I, and generally speaking, people come, and I deal primarily with executives and their spouses, and they're in trouble. They've made a mess of stuff, and things aren't going well, and they've tried, prayed. And somebody says to them, because they've experienced it, hey, go talk to Rich, and he's got something that will help you. Okay, so they call me up, and what do you got? I'm in a mess. I'm in a pickle. Okay. I said, I guarantee you, right now today, I guarantee you that God will resolve that, and you're going to wind up being blessed to be a blessing. I guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. And they challenged me at that point. You can't do that. That's not true. Doesn't happen. A lot of people aren't experiencing that. I've never seen it. Doesn't happen for me. On what basis can you say that? And I say, well, one, the scriptures say so. And then two, it's been true for me. Okay, what are you talking about? Well, I can share with them. Hey, I went bankrupt. I made a mess of stuff. I didn't walk with God. I was in the flesh, and I caused myself a big problem. But as I learned to follow him, he then showed me what it meant that he could restore all that and bring that back to freedom in my life. And then I've seen it ever since, and it happens all the time.
Which you've shared before may or may not have looked like what you pictured it to be.
Right.
And he restores it to exactly what he desires it to be when we have a heart to go.
Exactly. Yeah. So I didn't say to God, well, in order for you to do this, I'd like you to do this. He said, that's the whole point, Rich.
Exactly.
That's why you're in trouble, because you have your own plan. Why don't you follow? Are you going to follow my plan? Of course, Linda said, yes, he is. And I did too, because it was pretty painful. But I've been through all of this, and I know that I know that I know, and everybody else, every single one of our leaders have been in places where, they kind of had a messy, what I call messy stuff going on. Well, what has God done? He's resolved them all. What? Supernaturally, by learning what it meant to follow them. So that he says, The more that people learn this, the more works that will be done, and the
Mhm.
more others will believe it just on the works themselves, because it'll intrigue them to say, is that possible for me? And the answer
Right.
is yes. Um,
And by the way, not all of those things have to be like real messes that have come up, you know.
no, no,
A lot of times where he shows up is simply in that daily, I know you do a lot of work with the CEOs and that sort of thing. And
yep,
my world is a lot of moms and wives and working moms and more women's ministry sort of things. And so we tend to really be more in the daily details of things.
right.
And I even think about, you were asking about Anna earlier, just the sweetness of God. Just this weekend, we've been asking and seeking about college for her and
Mm-hmm.
where he wants her to go. And she's learning to really ask questions and then process through, and we're putting it in the journal and all of this. And, so one of the most recent questions we had is really, she's feeling like God is leading her towards this one particular school, especially Emmanuel. Gordon is probably the second choice for her, but Emmanuel's the one where she feels like God is continuing. And so we're like, okay, we'll keep confirming. Let's keep pressing in on different things. This one's in the heart of Boston, and one of the real questions that as we're talking through, we know that when like Gordon, because Caleb is there. So we have experience of that. We know kind of what the student body is,
Mm.
what her people would be or not be there.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, are you going to have that same thing? People that you can relate to that really are coming at life from the same thing, because those college friendships are so important. Well, how beautiful that we have literally just teed up this question, and we walk into this weekend. And as we are talking with Josh and Nim when we were down there, Joshua informs us, "Oh, hey, did Dom's girlfriend, who's one of his best friends, then and we had no idea, is dating a girl who happens to go to Emmanuel.
Mm.
Oh, and by the way, she has a really strong faith, and she's very involved in the Campus Crusade ministry there, the crew ministry. So there's a lot of really neat people she could connect you to." And and just in conversation, it just so happens to come up. And nothing just so happens ever. When you ask God, what other people may write off as a coincidence, God immediately, it's like asked and answered. We ask the question, and within a couple of days, he's giving input that is now, okay, well, this is more to follow up on.
Right.
Let's connect you to Abby and see if you can go down and shadow her in classes and talk to her and see kind of how she made a network of friends there and all of these things. And so God is just teeing up more information for us to explore, but directly related to what he asked. And that, in my mind, even that is a work. That is a testimony to the supernatural, that God will deliver us answers in supernatural ways that we never even thought of.
Right. Right. And what you're describing is so beautiful in that you're seeking an answer,
Mhm.
and we can trust that God says, let me take you down the path and
Mhm.
start reinforcing some things that I want you to again explore,
Right.
so that you said Emmanuel, and then, hey, by the way, a person, and what I say, see, it walks across your path,
Yes.
and they say, hey, have you ever thought about Emmanuel? And
Mhm.
I know somebody there, and and all of a sudden, God, see, that's how God reinforces it.
Yes.
Is that's me.
Mhm.
That's me at work. That wasn't happenstance. That's me
Right.
at work. And remember, it's a path. Uh, so even where you are today, it doesn't mean, well, there's your answer. It's just that
Right.
it's
There's
go
a step. There's another step to take
keep
now
going down
to
that
keep.
path.
Mhm.
Focus on Emmanuel, and I'll show you further if it is my will. And remember,
Mhm.
again, the beauty is like your daughter. She's questioned, where do I go to college?
Mhm.
Today, God knows that answer.
Right.
And it's His will where He wants her to go based upon His purposes,
Yes.
what He's up to, what He wants to do during her years there, the people she's going to meet, the situation she's going to be in, the walk that she's going to experience,
Mhm.
And God says, I'm working lots and lots of complicated things.
Right.
Because, by the way, I got to get other people that are asking the same question. Because you're going in as a freshman, guess what? There's all these freshmen looking for the same thing. I'm going to
Right.
get them there too, because they're part of the story. So, as I know the answer, and this is the beauty of it, you and Anna and Dan, ideally, you'd say, well, just tell us the answer. Since you already know it, just tell us the answer. He
Right.
says,
Right.
well, it's a walk. And there's an ask, seek, knock process, and I want you to
Yeah.
enjoy the walk and let me show you and confirm it and do more, do more, do more. And the reason, part of the reason is, first of all, that he says, I love being with you, and that keeps you close to me.
Right.
And then two is that I'm going to confirm it in such a way that you will know that you know that you know. You'll never second guess it.
Right. He doesn't want to make it fuzzy for
No,
us and
no.
make us question, he just wants us to seek him, and he'll lay it out
Right.
step by step by step. And I love that.
Yeah. Same thing's
And I
happening.
think
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, adjusting our eyes to see his speaking to us, even
Yes.
as the miraculous work, the
Yes.
supernatural.
Yeah. Same thing's happening for my son, or my grandson, Joshua. He's getting ready to go to college. He's been investigating, and he's quasi-military, so he's thought about Annapolis, actually, where you went last
Oh, yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
The Air Force Academy, where Dan went.
Right.
And he's also been led to Texas A&M.
Oh, they have a fantastic core.
Which is a hybrid that gives him kind of a flexibility that if you want to go into business later, you can. You don't have to go in the military, but you can get into the Corps without the commitment of the long-term commitment.
Right.
So he's talking about that and looking at that. And he went down to investigate the school, and so I was sharing with a couple here in Denver, and we just reacquainted. They just caught up with us, say, hey, we've missed you guys. How you guys doing? What's going on in your life? And our grandson and my son and grandsons moved to Texas, and he's getting ready to go. My Joshua's getting ready to go to school, and he's thinking about Texas A&M. And this lady says, "Stop just a second. My son is at Texas A&M."
Oh, I love that.
And he's in the Corps.
Oh, excellent.
And it's a great Christian environment. Yep, he can tell them all about it. He can tell them what to do, how to prepare for it, how to get people to assist you to get in. I'll send you his name, a number, and I'll tell him that Joshua's going to call him.
Right.
Well, see, that's not coincidence.
No, not at all.
That's not, well, that was interesting. That's lucky. And God says, let me guide you and bring somebody across your path that's going to reinforce something that you see is me. And yeah, keep going. So
and I love that keep going is important, because I do think what happens a lot of times is we stop short.
Yeah.
Even as Christians, we'll see, take that, you saw that, or, Anna hearing that there's this other girl that has had a great experience, and you could stop right there, just say, oh, that's my sign. That's where I'm supposed to go. Or you can take it as the step of invitation that God has given you to. It's a step of invitation to the next thing, and keep processing. And I think that's so important. I think so often we stop a few steps too short, a few questions too early,
Yeah. And then he, as he goes down this discussion, he says, if you walk with me, you would do greater works than me. And here he's talking about numbers, not more magnificent.
The more quantity of works,
more
not
quantity of work. So, and the way I look at it and phrase it is, well, could we do better than the resurrection? I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
So it's not about more magnificent stuff. It's you're going to do greater, and the reason is, and he explained it, is that because at the moment, E112, and of course we know one of them was one of Son of Perdition, but You physically are with me. So you
Mm-hmm.
get the privilege of seeing this all the time.
Right.
When I go to my death and resurrection, I'm going to, and he says it right here, I'm going to give you the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Well, that's me. And
Mm-hmm.
now everybody who's a believer has me within them. And by definition, if you're walking with me, and this is what's so cool,
Mm-hmm.
I, God speaking, Christ speaking, will be doing these works through you.
Mm. Right.
It'll be you. And you're involved in them. So it's not about, hey, God, go take care of it. It's, he says, actually ask in my name. And the authority of my
Mm-hmm.
name, my will, what I say, yes, you can speak to this. Yes, you can cast this out. Yes, you can lay hands on somebody. Yes, you can be part of it because I carry my works out through my children.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he said, you're the physical representation of the invisible God. So don't look at it as just spiritual and God, I hope you do all that. Or I doubt if you're ever going to do any of it.
Mm.
It's let me draw you into it so that you participate and experience it. And I've had that happen lots of different times. And of course, we're involved in all this amazing works all the time. But uh, uh, as I was learning healing, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I had kind of what we've described. I had a very skeptical view of it.
Right.
Is that, first of all, I don't see it a lot. And when
Mm-hmm.
I did see it, which mostly was on TV or people saying they did,
And you really question that,
it
right?
seemed pretty hokey to me, and that didn't seem real to me, and I don't know about that. So I
Mm-hmm.
was very, very skeptical of healing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but God invited me, would you like to learn this? And through abiding, it's, yeah, I would. If you're asking me to
Mm-hmm.
learn it, I would like to learn it. And again, I did understand something about abiding that I really have carried with me. When he said, are you willing to learn this? I didn't say, I'll give it a try and I hope I can do it. He
Mm.
says, no, it's not up to you. It's up to
Right.
me to deliver this to you step by step by step. Come and learn of me. And
Mm-hmm.
the burden's not on you, it's on me, but all you got to do is stay with me.
Stay with them. Right.
And I did understand that. I said, okay, I'm not going to take on the burden. I do have skepticism,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm willing to learn it. So I'm in the
Right.
Word and I'm learning and I'm studying. I read Andrew Murray's Divine Healing and get into the Word and I believe the Word is true. So I didn't reject it and say, well, it's not true. It
Right.
says it's these things. So I'm learning it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so and I was learning that it was going to involve me and praying in his name, which I'll help you understand. And it wasn't, okay, God, just do all this great stuff and let me know and let me see it. No, he said, it's going to come through you. You're going to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this one day, my wife Linda had sent me, I had a meeting to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, on the way to the meeting, stop at the mall, go to the store, and you got to get this one thing. And then you get your meeting and bring it home. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the mall, go down. I had to go down this escalator, go to this department store. I go to the place, bring this thing to buy, and the teller um, is at the terminal computer, and it's not happening. She
Mm-hmm.
can't do it, and I'm very impatient. So I'm saying, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, honey, I got to go, honey, I got to go, come on. And she says, Mister, I'm so sorry, but I can't see. I
Mm.
said, what do you mean you can't see? She says, I've had a migraine headache all week, and it's getting worse and worse and worse, and I can't see the keyboard.
Mm.
And I said, oh, um, well, I hear God say, lay hands on her and heal
Oh, wow.
her. And I say, no. uh, I said, first of all, she's going to think I'm crazy. What if
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't happen? I got to go. Um, no, I'm not ready for
Mhm.
this, no. He said, no, I want you to lay hands on her heel. I basically said, no, I'm not going to do it, and so she finally finishes, gives me the thing and the slip, and I go up the escalator to my car. I
Mhm.
get in my car, and the Lord says, are you going to go down and heal that lady? I said, you want me to get out of my car, go downstairs, find her, and you want me to lay hands on her and you're going to heal her? Yes. I'm telling you, it's my work, but I'm doing it through you, and you gotta
Mhm.
be my feet.
Right.
Okay, all right. So I turned the car off, even though I'm late for the meeting. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be obedient to this. So I go downstairs. Now I gotta find her. I go
And
find
not
her.
look like you're stalking her.
That's right. I go find her, and I said, I know this is strange, but God has told me that He would like to heal you. Would you allow me to lay hands on you and pray over you?
Mm.
And she says, if it'll work, sure. Yeah, sure. So I'm in the middle of the store. I lay hands on her. I lay my hand on her head. And my prayer was this: Father, you said you're going to heal her. Go ahead.
Very, very beautiful,
Yeah,
eloquent
that's
prayer
it.
there, right?
Okay, go ahead. And she says, I can see. She said, the
Hmm.
migraine's gone.
Oh, sweet.
I said, hey, that's cool. um, it's fantastic. And I said, are you a believer? She says, well,
Mhm.
I've accepted Christ, but I've kind of drifted away a long time ago, and that's not part of my life right now. I said, well, I'm telling you that because of this work, God wants to bring you back. And
Mm.
do you know of a church? You have a church by you? Yes. Okay, you get back to church, and God's going to speak to you, and He not only doesn't want to heal this, but He wants to heal your soul and
Oh,
guide
sweet.
you into a beautiful life. And so I encourage you to do that now that you've been
Mhm.
healed. And by the way, I got to go.
Right.
So that's when I recognize that, oh, so it's not me just going to a prayer meeting.
Mhm.
It's me letting you do the work through me of as you
Right.
ask it and speak it, and I can ask in your name. You said under your authority,
Mhm.
you are going to do this work, and he said that's why you can do greater works than me because there's more of you, and it's
Mhm.
supposed to be normal.
Wow.
And I began to learn it, and then practice it. And again, I learned also that I don't have the right, just because I experienced it, to now lay hands on everybody that's sick.
Right. And
Um,
assume that every time you see somebody that that's what he's calling you to
that's
do.
right. That's right.
Right.
It's now what, Father, and if somebody comes to me who's sick, yeah, let me go to prayer. Let me see what else, because there's more wisdom, and there could be a block
Mhm.
in the way. There could be all kinds of stuff. So um, there's no system to it. It's
Right.
relationship. But you can do greater works than these, and we are the ones doing the work, but it's His power that is flowing through
Mhm.
us to experience it. And He
We are more
says
the vehicle.
we're the messenger, and He says the key is I got to get you in the right place. So go to Isaiah 30 and read verses 18 through 26. Isaiah 30, 18 to 26, as he says something specific about even what I experienced with, let me give you direction in this. So read that,
Okay.
Isaiah 30, 18 to 26.
Mm. Therefore, the Lord waits to be gracious to you, and therefore he exalts himself to show mercy to you. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all those who wait for him. For a people shall dwell in Zion. In Jerusalem you shall weep no more. He will surely be gracious to you at the sound of your cry. As soon as he hears it, he answers you. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet your teacher will not hide himself any more, but your eyes shall see your teacher, and your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it, when you turn to the right or when you turn to the left. Then you will defile your carved idols overlaid with silver and your gold plated images, metal images. You will scatter them as unclean things, and you will say to them, Be gone. And he will give you rain for the seed with which you sow the ground, and bread, the produce of the ground, which will be rich and plenteous. In that day, your livestock will graze in large pastures, and the oxen and the donkeys that work the ground will eat seasoned fodder, which has been winnowed with shovel and fork. And on every lofty mountain and every high hill, there will be brooks running with water in the day of the great slaughter when the towers fall. Moreover, the light of the moon will be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun will be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days, in the day when the Lord binds up the brokenness of his people and heals the wounds inflicted by his blow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mm.
So he says, God says, I'm waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this. He's waiting for us to surrender our will.
Right.
I'll go with you. I'll go through Gethsemane. I'll say, yes, I would like to have your will be done, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it, and actually, even last week, Neil talked about one thing that he learned was going to neutrality.
Right.
Was he had to learn that if I'm going to seek God's will, he and his wife Kathy, then he had to learn to go to neutrality, which God is waiting for. Are you willing
Mm-hmm.
to surrender your will to mine? And I can't force you, and I can't lead you unless you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, he says, now you wait. And what we're waiting for is him to show us his will.
Mm-hmm.
So that, like you're talking about with Anna, well, you're waiting. You're in a waiting process. And that is, well, we don't yet quite know. We know we're going to know.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to walk with you, and we're going to make sure that you and Dan and Anna don't say, okay, well, we want you to go to Emmanuel and that's it. Well,
Right.
you just stopped waiting on God.
Right.
You just said, okay, that's it. I'm going to decide. Yeah, everything looks fine. Let's go there. As opposed to,
Mm-hmm.
no, let's wait until what? You know that you know that you know
Right.
God's will.
Right. And that confirmation and that peace that comes from that, I think about, as a mom, when Joshua chose Baylor and when Caleb chose Gordon, both of those decisions were ones that were vastly prayed over and step by step by step, God laid out. And he made it so crystal clear that there was such peace when that child left home. Like, I understand the anxiety of, oh, my baby's leaving my house.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, even in the sadness of that for me, there was such an excitement because I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, and some of my friends didn't have that assurance, but I knew my child was stepping into God's will for them.
Right.
And whatever these next 4 years brought were filled with purpose and passion and God's will for my child. And that's what I had been preparing him for the last 18 years.
Right.
So I don't want to usurp that process with Anna.
No.
I want to walk right into it so that when she packs her bags and we drop her off, we know we're setting her right where God wants her feet to be for the greatest impact in that season.
Yeah. And he says, so I'm waiting for you to surrender. You wait for me to communicate my will clearly, which, by the way, takes, and waiting, the word waiting, interesting enough, is dance with me. God, dance with God, let him lead. It's not a passive, I'll just do nothing. It's ask, seek, knock. It's process. It's walking together. And then he says, don't put your teacher in a corner anymore. And the teacher is the Holy Spirit. Don't stuff it. Don't put it in a corner where there's no input because you are doing your own will. Bring it front and center. And he said, when you do that, a voice from behind you will say, turn right, turn left. And it'll be very specific. It's not fuzzy. It's not generic.
Right.
It's not principle. It's no, this step in your life for this circumstance is very, very specific, and do this. And I'll tell you to turn right or turn left. And he purposely talks about this because of the voice from behind. And he gives this illustration because as we look forward, which is where we're headed, we tend to rely on what? Our sight.
On our site, yes.
what we see, what we logically conclude. Well, therefore I
Mhm.
should, because I observe and I think and I've analyzed, and here's my answer.
Mhm.
And God said, well, I need I need you to pay more attention to what you hear.
Mhm.
And it would be like if I use the analogy of, I was going to walk my wife Linda from our kitchen to the car, and we have steps,
Mhm.
and there's turns, but I blindfolded her.
Mhm.
The only way she could get there is she'd have to listen to me.
Right.
Now, she would trust me that I know, I can see and I know what I'm doing, and I would say, stop, turn right, turn left, go forward, stop, turn right. You got a step,
Mhm.
go down the step, go down another step, go down another step, stop, turn left. Well, what has she been doing the whole time? Listening and
Mhm.
responding. When I asked her to do this, then she would
Right.
do it because she trusted that. And in this case, I prevented her from seeing. Uh,
Mhm.
but in most cases, it's as you are seeing, what is God speaking to you? What is He saying? What
Right.
steps is He giving? And that's where you process together with other people, with your spouse. Here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm understanding. When
Mhm.
He said to me, heal that lady,
Mhm.
that was, here's a step. Right now, do this. And even though I resisted it and rejected it and actually went back to the car, he said, I want you to get out of the car and go down. It's like, okay, I'm hearing
Mhm.
logically, I didn't want to do it.
Right.
And based on my observation, particularly the fact that I had to get to a meeting, I could have, and it's kind of like what we talked about even last time, is neglecting so great a salvation. Well, I could have
Mm.
missed
Yes.
the fantastic experience of seeing healing in a very interesting, easy, beautiful
Right.
way. It wasn't hokey. She didn't it didn't ever fall over. Um, it wasn't because I said certain things. It's
Mhm.
just God said, "Here, I want to do this. Let me
Mm.
do this." And by the way, there's no magic to this. Let me fulfill it through you.
Right.
And you, Rich, you don't know anything other than you have a heart to go.
Mm.
But I heard the voice speak that do this. So you begin to trust as God speaks it. And by the way, He uses other people.
Mhm.
He uses a myriad of ways to communicate His will to us by speaking.
Right.
Like you just experienced with Anna, is somebody crosses your path and says, "Hey, by the way,
Mhm.
I've got somebody that I know, and you ought to talk to him because it's a beautiful place, and there's lots of faith there, and Crew has a great ministry there."
Mhm.
Well, that's the Holy Spirit saying, "Turn right."
Right.
And you said probably to Anna, "Hey, let's pursue that."
Exactly.
Why? Well, because God spoke it,
Mhm.
and it wasn't even a voice to Anna. It was just, let me say something. That's me.
Mhm.
He said, that's me.
Right. Pay
Pay
attention. I'm
attention.
speaking.
Take the step.
Mhm.
Turn right, turn left, and these things will begin to occur to you. And by the way, he throws in, um, and this is something that's absolutely true. We've actually talked about this when we talked about the progression in Romans chapter 6, is having been set free from sin, you became a slave to Christ, and then the
Mhm.
fruit was righteousness. That's a result of what? You walking
Mm.
with Him. And He says this, as I speak to you, there are things in your life that He labeled as stinky.
Mhm.
The word there in the Hebrew is a menstrual cloth.
Right.
It's, ooh, that's stinky. It's awful. He says, as I lead and guide you, you'll recognize those things, and you'll
Mhm.
see what I see. This is stinky in your
Right.
life. Let's get rid of this. Let's discard
Right.
this as a result of the walking, not by you figuring out I got to go fix it and then I can come
Right.
back. He says it works the opposite. Walk with me,
Mhm.
we'll get there. Don't worry. And you'll
Yeah.
see it, and you'll not only say, "Do I have to?" You'll say, "I want to." Why? Because
Right.
you'll see it.
Right.
You'll see it for what it is. And God says, "Oh,
Mhm.
that's not pleasant." And you'll say, "Yeah, it's not pleasant. I'm gonna get rid of this." It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love that. That verse, I think I've shared on here before. That whole passage is one of my favorites. So when I did that big dig into idols
Yeah.
and what God was saying, as COVID started out way back, that was something that God highlighted to me was, I'm going to use this for those who are willing to listen and hear my voice. I'm going to use this to bring down idols
Yes.
and bring people's focus back to me and my will. And I believe there has been plenty of opportunity that we have seen him tee up for that.
Yeah.
Some of us have taken him up on it, and some of us are still forging ahead fighting for our idols. But nonetheless, his desire is as we walk with him to bring those things down, because anything we put ahead of him is not the best, is not the beauty that he desires. And this verse just promises as we step with him that he will bring those things down
Yeah.
and get them out of the way so that we are walking in his best.
Yeah. Well, I just had a phone call today, discipling call, and one of the executives talked about, well, I need more patience. I'm not a very patient person, and it's impacting my kids and my wife and my work. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to go try to have more patience. I said, stop a second. Um, if you try, it's going to get worse.
Mhm.
Uh, let
Right.
God bring about that result. So, actually, the more important thing for you to do right now, now that you recognize it,
Mhm.
is go spend time with God and let Him reveal to you His steps
Right.
to resolution of that. And it'll be a result of you walking with Him because He's got to do a work.
Right.
And I said part of it will be to define for you what that is, because I said,
Mhm.
and I know this guy a little bit. He's aggressive and he's a mover. Okay, I
Mhm.
said, if you define it as I shouldn't be that way anymore, God says
Mm.
actually you're going to become more frustrated.
Right.
Within your personality, I'll show you what patience looks like. The issue is that you're going too fast and you got to slow down, and I got to show you what that looks like for you
Mm.
so that you can enjoy things better, and you won't stop being who you are, which is a mover, but you'll
Right.
do it at a pace that you allow other people to do it. And I gave an
Mhm.
example with my wife Linda. Um, I tend to be let's go, let's go, let's go, and she's way different than that. So for Linda, the best thing I can do for Linda is take her on a drive. And we get
Mhm.
in the car. We live in Colorado, and we love to go up in the mountains. So we could take a 2 hour drive, and we'll just talk. We'll just process. And I'm listening, and okay, honey, tell me more
Mhm.
about that. Here's what I see. Here's what I think. What is God saying, and all that. But I don't have my phone on. I'm
Mhm.
not. I got to get to a meeting, or I got to go do something.
Right.
I put it in my calendar. Okay, we're going to go do this together.
Mhm.
And for her, if I said, is Rich more patient? She would say yes. Well, the reason I'm
Mm.
more patient is that God has given me instruction.
Mm.
Here's
On
how
how to be in that
here's
situation.
how I want you to work for your wife, to work it this way. And there's other times where yeah, you gotta move forward, and actually you gotta help Linda move forward, not to stay stuck. So she needs
Mhm.
you and you need her. So it's a beautiful thing and I said to this guy, don't you go fix it, but
Right.
rather walk with God, let Him guide you, and He'll give you a voice. Do this, do this, do this, and
Mhm.
understand this. Let me show you how, and you'll become more patient as a result of walking with Him. So as we end this time today, it's just let Him guide your steps by
Yes.
speaking it. And by the way, we are going to be the ones experiencing His works. And it's not going to be off somewhere, and it's not going to be once in a while, and it's not going to be, well, yeah, those spiritual people do. It'll be everybody can
Right.
experience God's phenomenal work that He says you can be part of it, and I'm going to call you to be part of it. So it's really a
Right.
fun thing. So
And it's even super fun too as you bring it into community and
yes,
you begin to share and the community around you is sharing and God is just exalted as you're all beginning to see him move and work in supernatural ways all the time. And it gets very exciting,
Yes,
honestly, and
very exciting.
inspiring.
Yeah. And
So,
so if you have a question about any of this, and it can be very specific. I've got a situation. How does that work? Um,
mhm,
you send a comment on the YouTube section, or AFJ Ministry questions at afjministry.com, questions at
mhm.
afjministry.com, and we'd love to receive them and process them with you about things that may be specific to you that we can really assist you with. So, Kathy, it's been a fun day again today, and uh,
Absolutely.
pray you have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Come and See, your podcast for truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. Send us your questions and comments, and tune in tomorrow for more answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. Remember, God's will is best and none better. His truth brings peace in this world of chaos.